Yeah.
And within the statistics, I mean, women are more likely to attempt to die by suicide, but men just choose methods that are more successful. So
Yeah.
when people kind of talk about these statistics, they go, "Oh, well, what about women?" Because they're all attempting suicide more frequently. But actually, it's not about that. It's about
Yeah.
the method, and they want to be more successful, and they plan it more than women.
Yeah, yeah, it's yeah. What about isms? Yeah, but what about women? Yeah, well, I get that a lot, and it's fine because we really care about women. We don't want anyone to die by suicide. But then we use, and people might question, well, why are you only focused on men? Well, we use positive action. So the government's own guidelines on positive action, and so those guidelines are if there is a section of society who are less likely to get the help they need, or less likely to ask for the support that they need, then you can use positive action to help them, right? And so that's why the FA love this, because they use positive action for everything. They were like, yes, we want to be a part of this, and so we created this positive action approach towards dealing with men, and there are fundamental differences between the way men and women approach thoughts of suicide. It's very difficult because there are always exceptions to prove a rule, right?
Yeah.
And also, there's one thing I should know. This got pointed out to me the other day. When I'm talking, there'll be people listening out there going, "Oh, why is he only talking about men and women?" Right? Why is he only talking male females? Why is he talking binary? Why are we not talking about people who think not think or people who say that they are trans or they have one of the many other genders that they might have? Well, we have to talk in binary terms right now because the results are binary. So the results we get from the ONS are men and women dying by suicide. And when that changes, we can change our language. So it has to be that. So our charity supports anybody who identifies as a man. But in terms of allyship, we will take anybody's support to be able to help us support men. But when we talk about the differences between men and women, and it's a real brush strokes. We look at the gender mental health gap, and there's lots of journals on this. So you can go get Lancet journals, and you can studies by various universities. Wolverhampton University did one, and so on. It kind of highlights the differences in men and women. So women are amazing. They are much more likely to ask for help. So they'll say something's not right. I need support, right? And they are much more likely to offer help. So they will always be offering help to each other. And because we know that most people will find support in people who look like them, women are just helping each other. They're just clubbing in. They're going, yeah, somebody's not right. Okay, Sonia from accounts, she's not right. We need to get together. We need to help her out. Those kind of mindsets. So when life becomes so overwhelming and a woman gets so low and suicide becomes a viable option for them, often it is spotted, it's identified by the people who are around them, and interventions take place. So they might be planning it and attempting more often, but they'll get found. Um, Often they're going down this journey of, I'm asking for help, you're not giving it to me. I'm asking for help, you're giving me the wrong help. Right, that's it, I've had enough. They'll make an attempt and then they'll tell you they've done it. And they'll say, right, I'm at my wit's end now. I mean, that's a cry for help. It isn't attention seeking. It's a cry for help. It's you're not listening. And then sadly, some women do go on to die by suicide. But for men, it's a very different approach. We know that men are not asking, supporting each other at an emotional and mental health level. When we ask each other how we're doing, we're basically saying hello. You know,
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I can demonstrate the male version of what you just described right now. All right, mate. Yeah, I'm all right.
Yeah, that's it. And that's it. That's how when you start telling somebody, you go, oh, I wasn't expecting that. When we go to foreign countries who speak English and we say, how's it going? They're like, well, what's it got to do with you?
Yeah.
Because to them, it's a genuine question. To us, it's hello, right? And so men are not offering help. We're not open to receiving help. And one of the reasons this is because we have this fixation of what a man is. We're brought up this way. So if you think that most men have this perception that they must have value and they must have purpose, and you ask any man, they'll say, you know, what is it? What do you do? They'll tell you the things that they do to provide value and purpose, right? And where does this come from? Well, first we have to look at generational gender bias. It's come from our grandfather to our fathers, fed into us, fed into our brothers and sisters, and we feed it into our boys whether we like it or not. And even though we know it's wrong, we still got these massive hang-ups. What will you be when you grow up? You'll be the man of the house. You're the man. Okay, what is it to be a man? To be a provider, to be strong, to be silent. And that gets fed into us all the time. And it's the social cues that we pick up in our families as well about if a boy falls over, often they are picked up by a role model and said, it doesn't hurt, you're okay, off you go. That child goes, he's telling me it doesn't hurt, or she's telling me this doesn't hurt. Well, I'm telling you now, it does hurt. And you're telling me it doesn't. And then they see maybe a girl fall over and they get picked up and they get hugged. It's okay. Young men very quickly learn that actually what they're actually saying is that my pain is not as important as their pain. And then they get molded into this. Now, again, not in every case, but in most cases. And so they get this definition of what is a man. Now, even though we know it's wrong and we try not to do it, it's still happening. Then you only have to look at social media. Social media is horrendous. If you want a really good thought experiment, if you have a partner at home of the opposite sex, switch mobile phones with each other and go through each other's For You pages on Instagram or TikTok. You will get very different messaging between the two of you. So a man will get very dangerous tasks or, you know, dangerous jobs. Often women in yoga pants trying to sell you a laptop, and really poor examples of role models like, Andrew Tate. Okay, so and Andrew Tate is really just filling a need gap for young men who feel disenfranchised, and that's why he's getting so much popularity. We need to out role model Andrew Tate, but that means us speaking up and speaking out. But then you look at women's social media and it's positive affirmations and good news stories and shopping. That's sexist. Okay, so it's lots of stuff like that. And then you look at media, television. I challenge everybody listening that or watching, give me a positive male role model from the last 20 years on television who is a good role model for your boys, who is not an unrealistic example of man like John Wick, okay, or is a nice guy because he's friend zoned. Nobody wants to be that guy, okay, or with the villain. So you feed all of that in, those three major factors. That is where men are getting their learned behavior. I must have value. I must not be a burden. So when life falls apart and they feel worthless and helpless and suicide is a real option, they've not told anybody, so no one's checking in on them. No one's looking out for them because that's not what we do. Remember, we see most of our solutions are from people who look like us. And so when they choose a method of suicide, it needs to be final. So when we've spoken to men who we've done interventions with, or men who have spoken about previous history of suicide attempts, and we said, well, why did you choose that method? They always say the same thing. It needs to be final. I mustn't come back from this because A, I'm going to have to talk about what I've just done. And B, people will then be running around and be caring for me, and I'll become a greater burden than I thought I was before. So that's why we are dying at much greater rates. That's so much silence. And then I just didn't know no one to help, which is such a shame.
Yeah. I mean, my viewpoint, which you know very well, is that in helping men, we help women anyway, because being around men that are silent, not sharing, have mental health problems, whether they're saying it or not, is not a comfortable environment to live in. And quite often that can lead to attacks against women. So if we can help men to speak up and deal with that stuff, we're going to reduce all the other stuff that comes with volatile relationships.